It's time to start redoing the helm station of my C-Dory TomCat 24. I'm going to put in a new chart plotter, so I don't need this GPS. I'm going to go ahead and fire that up. And I'm also putting in new radar, so this old Raymarine unit's going to come out. We're going to get it started up as well, just to show everything was working. And unfortunately, I wasn't planning on this, but the VHF radio has a distress, so DSC, digital selective calling, and it's tied to a prior owner, and I don't really have a way to go back and change that. It has to be registered to me, so there'll be a lot of hoops to jump through. So I'm just going to go ahead and take it out and put a new unit in. So there's the GPS. I'll go to fishing chart, and it's going to be where I was in the Pacific Northwest. Shows Whidbey Island. And you can see I've got VHF radios working. So here's the radar. Standby 1, 0. Press power to start transmitting. I'm inside the warehouse, so it's going to have nothing but interference. If I change the range and go out a little bit more, now we're at a 1/4 mile range. But again, just surrounded in the warehouse. I was really pleased with this radar. Ever since I'm going with a new chart plotter, I don't want to have 2 screens in here. So I'm going with all Garmin system. But first step, let's start with a clean slate. Let's get things out of the way. The back side of the helm station is covered by a piece of canvas. So we'll drop it down so we can see what's going on. Here's the Raymarine chart plotter. Some of the gauges are up in here. There's the radio antenna. So I'll probably want to mark some of these things down as I take them out. It's a tight space, so I'm going to skip trying to video removing the devices. Taking the mounting brackets off that radio was very difficult, and based on that, my thought is this whole gray piece is assembled as a unit and then attached, and you can see there's a caulk line here and there's some screws to hold it in place. I don't want to take the whole thing off. I might end up still having to do that when I rework the fiberglass, but I did get them off. This was screwed in. I took the mount apart. The radio wasn't a problem after I got that one bracket out. So the radio's out, and the radar is going to be a little more difficult to pull out. It's just in there tight, so I probably need both hands for that. So. Now I have a better idea what I have to work with. I've removed the radome from the top. There's just some flathead screws in 4 different parts. So I'm going to see if I can pull it apart to get the wires out. Okay, see how to pull that apart. So this looks like a connector and then 2 spots there. I'm going to get a picture, take that out, and that gets me the wire out. And then I can push it back through the roof here and totally disconnect it. With the radar and radio out of the way, it's time to look at some options. First option is a 7-inch display. Biggest advantage is there's no fiberglass work required at all. I would just mount it to a faceplate and screw that to the dash. Other advantage, I get a little bit of extra dash space in case I want to add any other switches or buttons. Biggest disadvantage is small screen. It's not really helpful for navigation, radar, sonar. So that brings in option 2, a 10-inch screen. And I would use the same hole and just expand it to the left. Disadvantage, this is from my eye viewpoint, and you can see the screen's partially blocked by the steering wheel. I have to move a tack gauge and some other buttons. Not too big of a deal. I have a plan for those. But I like as the best option is to move that Garmin screen up. It doesn't block any of my field of view. It lets me see the Garmin completely unobstructed. However, it's the most work, and that work being I would cut the front off of this and go back about 4 inches and then just raise that up about 3 or 4 inches. And then I would go on all 3 sides with fiberglass as well as fill in down here the part that's not used. So more work. I still need to move some gauges around, but I think it gives me the best visibility and some flexibility in the future in case I add anything else to the dash. But before I tackle that type of project, I want to think about it a little bit, sleep on it overnight. I slept on it and decided I'm gonna go ahead and raise the dash up so I get an unobstructed view of the display. I'm gonna put the second tack right here after I fill in the holes. I'm gonna go ahead and drill this hole for the fuel gauge since there's nothing blocking it, and I'm gonna go ahead and put the switch right next to it here. I took the steering wheel off so I'd have room to drill. Now I'm just gonna put a pilot hole in here. 2 1/8 inch drill bit. I'm going to go ahead and put the fuel gauge in and get it anchored in the back. There's a bracket that goes on here, which I'm going to need 2 hands for. The fuel gauge is back in, and I verified the wiring with the picture when I took it out. The fuel gauge is in. Now I'm going to put a hole for the switch. It measures either starboard or port tanks. Now for the single pole double throw switch. Port, starboard. I changed my mind. I am going to put the 10-inch display in the dash. So I've already added a line. So I know what I need to cut out. I know I still need to fill in the rest of this area, but at least I can put the 10-inch display in, make sure it's going to work and there's no interference. And the idea was I can leave this space open for the 7-inch display if I end up deciding to go that path. So I'm going to start drill a hole here in this corner, and then just use a multi-tool and cut the rest of it out. Gotta move this anchor windlass switch a little bit. I think that'll work. I need to check the back side to see what it's gonna give me for clearance, because there's not much room in this cabinet. Oh yeah, plenty of clearance for all that stuff. With the chart plotter placement figured out, it's time to do some fiberglass repair. I have about 20 different small holes to do between the bottom and top. So I'll go ahead and drill those out and use a chamfer bit as well. And then I'll clean around the edges on all these other spots that I need to fill in so I can get a good fiberglass repair. So prep right now and then fiberglass a little bit later. I have a chamfer bit next. Now I have a burring tool to get these other holes. I'm down to raw fiberglass for these patches. I have a little more prep work to do. I need to sand around the edges. I'm going to use a fiberglass reinforced filler for all the screw holes, and then I'm going to cut some mat for the larger holes and do a normal fiberglass repair. I'm going to use a spray bottle of acetone to clean up around these holes. Here's that Bondo fiberglass filler. So basically the catalyst is about the same size as the width. So just squeeze out the length of diameter and mix it up really good. And this filler is good for up to a 1/2 inch hole. So all I'm using right now is going to be for the screw holes. I've done all the prep work for the fiberglass repair, and I've cut out pieces of fiberglass cloth to put into the holes. So I'm going to mix up some resin and get started. I'm not going to really show the whole process because I know it's messy and I don't want to be touching the camera as I do it. I might do a little bit of a time lapse on it though. This fiberglass cloth is white when it goes on, and you can tell when it's fully saturated because all the white goes away. And I'm just alternating between a chopped strand mat and a woven mat. Fairly thick, so a lot of layers. It helps having all the pieces laid out at one time, so you just get busy. It took a couple of iterations to get enough glass laid down. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand it and figure out where the low spots are and fill those in. I finished the cutout for the chart plotter. As you can tell, the rest of the holes are filled in. I need to do a little finish sanding and filling, and then put on some gel coat. I've sanded it with 320 grit sandpaper, and I cleaned up with some acetone. So the filling step is done, and now next step is going to be using a glazing putty. Just trying to get it smooth. I let the glaze dry overnight. I'm going to hit it with some 320 grit sandpaper. I can tell how smooth that's going to be just based on how easy it is to glide over it. Just have some acetone to wipe up the mess between layers. This needs to be sanded a little bit more up there. That's all perfectly smooth. It doesn't look pretty, but it is smooth. So now I need basically I'm going to gel coat from the edge of this all the way across. So I had scuffed up this paint, or scuffed up this gel coat. So I'm going to paint all of that. I'm going to try to leave this gauge cluster alone up here. I called Gel Coat Products in Seattle to buy some gel coat for the boat. They had a cross-reference to look up year and make of the C-Dory and to know the hull color, but they weren't sure what this console was, so they sent a sample of Robert's Gray. As you can tell, it's too light. I've ordered some gel coat with some tint, so I'm gonna see if I can match the dash color myself. I might have to just repaint everything. But while I wait, I'm going to go ahead and put in the tack, drill the hole for the 12-volt socket, put in a hole for the windlass, and then I have 2 of these automatic charge relay switches, which is going to be part of my new electronics, and I'm going to probably put them down here below the steering wheel. Start with the pilot hole. And I'm going to move all the electronics so I don't get them dusty. 3.5-inch hole saw. Everything's been moved and replaced in the dash. That'll give us a better view. Since I wasn't able to custom match the gel coat, I went with some generic white and some tints. I've pulled all the extra gauges to make it easier. So now it's time to mix the gel coat. So I have a white. I'm going to use a black tint. We're going to see how this goes. I've already given this a pretty good shake. I'm going to try to pour enough for 2 coats. As long as I don't catalyze it, then I should be good to go. I'm just going to put a little bit on this stick, and then when we mix it in, I'll take it off that stick. It's starting to get a pretty good gray color going. After a whole lot of mixing, I have a color that's close enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I'm going to paint the whole front. Since this isn't catalyzed, it doesn't stick. So just a little acetone and we're done. I've cleaned the whole front dash with acetone, put some cardboard down for my drops. I'm ready to go. So just less than 2 ounces, and the instructions say 10 drops per ounce. This is MEKP, it's the catalyst. I only get about 10 minutes of working time on this. And my good brushes are at home, so I'm just going to use a chip brush. It's going on really well, and I probably only needed 1 ounce of it. I'm pleased with that. I think a little bit of light sanding and then another coat, it's going to be perfect. I'm ready to apply the second coat of gel coat. This gel coat came with the wax, so I need to remove it with this acetone, and then I'll sand it for adhesion. Alright, I'm better prepared with this second coat. I wish I'd done the better brush the first go around, but I didn't. Not as good as if I had sprayed it, but it'd be good enough. The only way to get that high gloss sheen is to spray it, and I'm not spraying it. I'm gonna call it a wrap on this video, even though I have a little more work to do. I need a sand, compound, polish, wax the dash, make it look a little bit better. And then I need to put the electronics in permanently. They're just put back in temporarily for this end picture. Thanks for watching. On to the next project.